Welcome to DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, so let's get started. All right, welcome to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel, and today we have special guest Alison Miller. Alison, how are you?
I'm great, Chris. How are you?
Doing well, and this is really the first time you and I have ever met, so this is a welcome to us.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we get started, Allison's done something pretty amazing over the last, I don't know, month and a half. She's done these 300-mile races, Western states, Leadville 100, and Vermont 100. We'll talk about those three things in a minute. And by the way, she did this all in a month and a half or so, right? Month, 2 months? I don't know.
Yeah, 7 weeks total, exactly.
7 weeks. We could just talk about all of that, but I want to get to know you first. I'm still amazed by saying that 100 miler is hard enough, but let's talk a little bit about you. How did you even get into running? And then we'll talk a little bit about trail running. What kind of perked your interest?
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up playing soccer, played soccer in college, and then got into PT school after college. So I've always liked running, always really enjoyed it. And so I can always shoot. And so I said, hey, I want to run the Boston Marathon. So started training in PT school, ran a marathon, qualified, and went and ran Boston. And
Okay, wait. All right. You're going really fast. We're going to slow it down. So, first of all, you played soccer. Did you get a scholarship in soccer or you just did it for fun?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I played at Texas A&M University. So
Yeah. Oh, you did. You got a scholarship. Wow. What position did you play?
center mid, forward, and then a little bit of outside mid later in my last 2 years.
That sounds like fun. Getting a scholarship to soccer. I've always believed that soccer players are really good runners in general. Like if they were to, because you're running what, 5 or 6 miles, sprinting a lot and stuff like that. And so what I've seen is that transfers over very well if you do the work. You still got to do the work. That's pretty cool. And so did you do any kind of half marathons or anything during college, or was it all just soccer stuff?
I think I started with a half marathon once I was in PT school, basically kind of training for the marathon. No, obviously we'd run a lot in practice, but nothing really organized until really after soccer.
All right. So you get into PT school and you said, okay, I want to run Boston Marathon. But before that, you decided to run a race, a marathon. What'd you do? So what marathon was it? And then how'd you do? You obviously qualified your first one.
I did actually, yeah. So I was over in Dallas for PT school. And so it was the Big D. I think it was maybe the first year they had it.
Wow.
And I was old school, no Garmin watch. No, I would just go out and drive the routes to see how far I ran in training.
Yeah.
And yeah, so lots of fun. And so it was also crazy because I didn't want to stop at any aid stations. And so I didn't eat or drink anything the entire race.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I came in at, I think 3:28 was my time and got that done. And yeah, I went to Boston.
That's pretty awesome. 3:28, your first marathon. And you went to Boston. What'd you think of that first marathon anyways? Were you like, oh my God, this was easy, or was it hard, or what was your?
It wasn't easy, obviously, but I wouldn't say it was hard either. Like I said, running's kind of always just been something that I've enjoyed and hasn't been hard for me, I would say.
Okay. And then did you learn anything from, hey, I need to drink some water and eat some stuff? Did in Boston? What happened there?
I got away with it. So it's kind of those things, you do what you can get away with. So yeah, I definitely did drink more, but yeah, not nearly as good on nutrition and hydration as I am now. And I still have a lot to learn.
Don't we all? It's like we're never perfect at it. So tell me a little bit about Boston. How'd that go?
It went pretty well. I had fun. Obviously, it's one of the best marathons in the country in terms of crowd support and a great city. Yeah, from there, I decided to keep running marathons.
So then you decided, hey, I want to run how many more marathons until you got into trail running?
Gosh, I don't even know, Chris. But then I want to run a marathon in every state. I started working as a PT, and then one of my coworkers had started doing triathlon, and so I did a sprint try, just taught myself how to swim, bought a bike when I came back from Boston, and got into triathlon, and then obviously Ironman races, and somewhere after that,
Obviously. So
not the normal progression.
here's the thing. Like, I think maybe I don't hear a lot of people go from, hey, I'm a soccer player to just running their first marathon to getting them to Boston. And then, oh, you know what? I want to do triathlons. And maybe, did you say you did an Ironman? You did do an Ironman.
I've done 19 total.
Okay. See, I want to do some Ironman. So then I want to do 100 milers. I'm curious, what drives you to, you just get bored and you're like, oh, I want to try this. So I want to do this.
I really really like challenges. I like challenging myself and going big. I don't know, it's something very internal that I like to do big things.
So when you went into the try, was it just like a half or a full? What did that look like in the beginning?
Initially I did a sprint try and I didn't really even know how to swim, and I borrowed my dad's mountain bike and I learned humility at that point.
Oh, good. Finally, she's human. Something happened. So tell me about that.
Oh gosh, yeah. I even put in my wrong swim time. Sprint try, it's usually a pool swim, and so they start you ranked by what time you put in. So I started 7 back from the front, and I didn't put my hand under the water to swim, and so it was pretty embarrassing. Yeah, so from there, I signed up for an Olympic, and then a half, and then a full.
Wow. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your first full try or your first full Ironman. What was that like? Have you now learned to drink and eat and fuel properly?
No, not at all.
Okay. At least better? Okay.
I mean, I think I had 1 granola bar and I got pretty hungry on the run. So I ate a bunch of oranges and pretzels, and yeah, so not a great experience. I had fun and I was super pumped afterwards, but I definitely wanted to do another one. It wasn't Ironman branded, and so I signed up for an Ironman branded race after that.
And what did your training cycles look like? Were you a better trainer or did you train well for these at least, or what was that like?
It's interesting because I have never used a coach.
Yeah.
Don't. I was an exercise physiology major. And that's what my degree's in. So I know a little bit about training progression, but yeah, for that first one, gosh, I think probably my hardest training day was I just went out and rode 100 miles and got off the bike and ran 15, like in August in Texas on a Saturday. So it was pretty hot. But I just, picked my own workouts and tried to apply. You can always practice what you're going to have to test on.
Yeah. Just hardcore, old school kind of, hey, let's just go out there and do 100 miles on the bike and 15 during the heat. And that should be good.
Ironman is breaking yourself down, right? And then trying to run. So that's kind of what you got to do in training.
Yeah. I'm sure the running part's not as easy. Although if you're strong at that and you're not as strong as swimmers, a swimmer is not as strong as running. Running is really, I think you can gain ground, but I've never done one. I wouldn't really know, but common sense would say.
Yeah, definitely. We always say bike for show, run for dough.
I love that. And so you've done like 19 Ironmans, and are you signed up for another one or?
Yeah. So actually after this Grand Slam, I've got Kona in October. So I've got Wasatch 100 miler in 3 weeks, and then Kona in October, 5 weeks after that.
Oh, I thought you were taking a break. I guess not.
No.
All right. Let's get into this. You talked about some trail. You've obviously done a lot of trail running, or at least 3 big ones lately, but how'd you get into trail running? I'm not surprised now because all the things that you're telling me you're into, but when did you start doing trail running, and what'd you think about the 100 milers? Like, oh my gosh, and now I need to do a 100 miler.
It's about 20 years ago, and I'd done a couple of Ironman races, and running's my favorite. So I thought, I want to do an ultra, right? Because that kind of was becoming a bigger thing. And so most ultras are trail. I mean, there are some roads and there's more and more road ultras, but I think old school is most of them are on the trail. So I just found a 50K and signed up, and it was in southern Missouri, and I went and ran it kind of in the Ozarks. It was beautiful.
Did you think it was harder or was it just different? What was your?
Definitely harder. I won it. So that was fun. And
it's awesome when you win it. Yeah. Anytime you win a race, holy cow, I need to do more of these trails.
Exactly. Yeah. Because I'm not as fast. Obviously on the road, there's a lot of fast people. And so I've always known one of my strengths is endurance over speed. So the longer, the better.
That's pretty awesome. Wow. So how many of those races have you won? Like any of the ultras?
I don't know.
A
couple local.
Several.
Local. Several. It's hard to go to the big races after national races and really win, obviously. Yeah, I won a couple of local ones.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I love that. Any of the Blaze Trails, did you win any of those?
Yeah, Rockledge, female, obviously not.
Yeah.
Rockledge, Rumble, Bridgeport.
A lot of
Grasslands back before it was Blaze Trails, marathon. But yeah, I think I've won in a couple of Hell's Hill, down in Austin, Rattler in Austin, down when it was at Bastrop before it was the new ranch.
So Rockledge is one of my favorites that they have. I've been doing it for a long, I usually do the, what is it, 9 miler, 15K or whatever, but I've run ultras, not like you, but I've not get out of it now. I just do mostly half marathons on the road and just run with friends. But yeah, Rockledge is fun. I think maybe because I like the trail, but it's just local. So it's easy to get to for me. Yeah. So do you live still in Dallas or?
I actually live in Aledo, which is just west of Fort Worth.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. So everything's far from you.
Yeah, everything that direction. Yeah.
Yeah. That's if you want to run. Do you still run road races or no?
I haven't in a while, mostly just for Ironman, but not many actual races. It's only 5K for training. I think the last one I did, I ran to the 5K, ran the 5K, and then ran home. Or no, I didn't run home. I think I ran a 5 mile cool down, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. This summer for me has been a lot of 5Ks, which I haven't done a lot of in the past, but it was like, all right, I don't want to run half marathons to do training really fast. So why don't I just do 5Ks for speed work and see how that goes for the summer? That's pretty cool. All right. So you've run lots of trails now, and then let's talk about this Grand Slam. Tell me about this journey up to this and you're thinking around maybe this whole year because you're doing a lot of stuff still. But let's talk about this year. Like what kind of gets you into wanting to do all these big races, Western States, Leadville, Vermont, and then all these other two that you're talking about?
I've been lucky enough to hit a couple of the 100 milers. I've done UTMB, done Badwater, Cruel Jewel 100 up in Colorado. And I've been trying. Western States is a lottery and it's tough to get into. It's taken 6 or 7 years to get in. And so I kind of always knew once I got in, I wanted to do the Grand Slam. It's one of those things like I read about something that sounds really cool and hard. And then I'm like, I want to do that. Funny story, Chris, my husband and I were watching the Netflix documentary on, as his race. God, like Barkley's Marathon. We finished watching the Netflix and he looked over at me and I was writing my letter to Laz about why I should get to do it. Anyways, and then I read about Paul Terranova was the only person I think so far to do what they call the Grand Kona Slam, which is the Grand Slam of Ultrarunning plus Kona. So the Grand Slam of Ultrarunning is Western States, Vermont, Leadville, and Wasatch. So basically 10 weeks, 400 milers. Some people substitute Old Dominion. There's actually 5 races and you choose 4 of them, but Old Dominion's in Virginia just before Western State.
Yeah, it's been okay. Wow. The challenge. Now, this is the challenge of all challenges right now for you, right?
Yeah, this is the biggest challenge I've had.
Let's get into it. Western States, you got in. It took you 6, 7 years. Yeah. My wife is trying to get into Western States for a while, and then she's like, forget it. She's a big marathoner now, or has been mostly. But tell me about Western States. You got in, and how was the course? How'd you do? How'd you feel? All that kind of stuff.
Course was fantastic. I had a terrible race. So tough way to start the Grand Slam. Worst I've ever felt in a race and worst performance I've ever had at 100 milers. So it was a tough one and it was a humbling experience and it scared me a little for the rest of them. I've never had to chase cutoffs when I was having to chase that cutoff. So it brought me down to earth a little bit.
What happened? What'd you do so poorly?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I'm driving my husband crazy because I'm still trying to figure that out. But I couldn't really eat much after about 30 or 40 miles. But yeah, I have no idea. It was hot, but I've done hot races. Obviously, Badwater, Kona previously is hot. So it was just one of those days.
Just couldn't get it together.
Exactly.
I guess it happens. Was there any kind of special parts to it when you kind of look back and think of, or were you just dying too much to even think about how beautiful and wonderful and all these things that people talk about?
It was definitely gorgeous. And I'd crewed and paced there before. So I knew that the top of the escarpment was just amazing. Still everything that people talk about. You can't beat that course for just feel of the race, how big time it is. But then, yeah, the scenery and the actual course itself is amazing. So I told my husband, the good news is I'm going to have to go back to Tahoe and do it again because I need to redeem myself. But it's a fun one.
If you keep doing these 100 milers, you just always get a ticket to potentially get in. So who knows? All right. So you kind of lived through the Western States and sounds and just struggled through it, but you got it done. So you're going to be at least proud of that.
Yes. And I will say the golden hour is great because there's a lot of people there to cheer you in that last hour.
That would be cool. Now, did you finish at night or was it early in the morning?
It was the morning, yes.
Okay. I bet it's hard to go through the night like that.
Yeah, I don't love running in the night, but I don't need a lot of sleep either. So I'm able to, I don't have any problems like staying awake. I never feel like I need a nap or anything like that.
Really? So how long did it take you for Western States?
Which it took me about 29 and a half hours.
And what's the cutoff completely?
The cutoff's 30.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congrats. You know, all that matters is that you're under that 30 at that moment. I'm sure you want to do better, but
yes, I definitely had some bigger goals than that, but
second time around, maybe. Did you get so let's talk about Leadville. Leadville's even harder, my understanding, or at least a lot of people don't hit those cutoffs. And some good, awesome runners go there and don't even do it. And that's their only 100-miler for the year or half years. So what was your thinking going into Leadville? It's Leadville next, right?
the Vermont was actually next.
Oh, let's talk about
was-
Vermont. My bad. I
Yeah,
thought it
that's
was
okay.
Leadville. Yeah, talk about Vermont because I don't even know what that. I've heard about it. And I know one or two people have done it, but I don't know a lot about it.
It's got a great feel. It feels more small time, I think, or not as big as like a Western States, obviously, or Leadville. And so it's got a homier feel to it. Vermont's beautiful. It's in kind of southeastern Vermont, just remote, but it's pretty close to where the Appalachian Trail comes through. You don't run on the Appalachian Trail, but it's that part of the country. It's a lot of road, actually. It'd be a good 100-miler for you, Chris, because it's mostly road.
Perfect.
But
By the way, let's talk about this part real quick. You went all the way from Dallas to California, and then was it straight to Vermont, or did you come back here to Dallas or to Texas? And then because you're not
no,
done.
I had to work.
Okay.
I'm already barely being allowed to get this much time off work for all these races. But
Yeah.
so I had 3 weeks between Western and Vermont.
Okay.
So
All right.
came back, worked a couple weeks, and then flew out there about midweek to do the race.
Okay. Got it. All right. Lots of travel. And how was it? What was it like? And you said it's beautiful, amazing, but when you get to the race, it's got to be even cooler, huh?
Definitely. And going into it, Western States scared me, so I knew I needed to be better about food and
Yeah.
water and just taking it, being conservative early on in the race. And even between the races, my recovery, and people who've done the Grand Slam before say don't run much at all, which is hard for someone like me who loves to train and run. That's probably been one of the hardest things about this. But so going to Vermont, I just try to kind of have a positive attitude and just enjoy it. And it was easier for my crew because Western States is really tough
Yeah.
to crew. So that was nice for them. And it was really just an enjoyable experience overall. I just kind of enjoyed the day and luckily stayed a lot further ahead of cutoffs. So
That's great. So, and plus you said a lot of it's road, so it's a little bit easier than having to go through the very technical trail that Western States is pretty technical, right? In some places.
definitely, yeah, through the canyons, especially the descents, as well as the climbing, is pretty rugged.
So you said you have to be positive, and I think attitude from where you stand, because you're in shape so that none of that matters, right? But it was more of the right attitude. I've heard that, by the way. It's like, you got to be positive, because if you're going to be negative, then it's just going to bring you down in a lot of ways. How do you stay positive for so long without running for 3 weeks too?
I know that's the hard part. You're totally right, especially in those 100-milers, because at some point you're going to feel terrible no matter what. Even if you do everything right, it's going to be hard. And if you don't have a positive attitude, then I don't know how you keep going. So
How long do you allow yourself? Let's just go back to Western States, and you got through it. It was good, but and you said you were bothering your husband a little bit about it, but did you give yourself some specific time? Say, okay, 24 hours and I can bitch about this, but I got to move on to Vermont now. Anything like that, or just
my husband would probably say no. I still bring up Western States and what happened, what went wrong.
okay? But like, my wife she's run Boston 12 times, she's done it 13 times, and so if she has a bad Boston or a bad race, and she goes, I allow myself 24 hours to just bitch about it, but then I have to move on because you want to know what you can do better and things like that, but you can't sulk in it for 5 weeks and think you can always think I can get better. This is how I'm going to do. This is what I messed up on. All these things. I don't know. That's where I was getting at.
Yeah, no, I definitely had to move on and start focusing on Vermont and obviously the rest of the Grand Slam. And definitely at some point you have to just let that go, and because it will drive you crazy. I've been able to do that, and I've evolved as an ultra runner even, and just really with these races, you are what you are, and you can't, if you're having a bad day, then you have to just make the best of it. And so even after that happens, you got to move on to the next one, do your best, and again, whatever it gives you, you got to just give your best. And
yeah, we've still got another race or two to talk about, but Before we do, I'm interested in crew. How do you get so many people, or how many people do you get to crew for you? And how do you get them to do it for you? What's the secret? Because I'm sure people are very interested in that. He needs people to help him, especially
Yeah.
specific ones.
Yeah. One thing about this Grand Slam, I know a lot of people, I've actually had people contact me that are interested in the Grand Slam and asking questions and whatnot, but you have to have a lot of money because it's expensive to
Yeah.
do all these races, or you have to at least be willing to commit money to it. But then, yeah, I've been really lucky with some great friends that have crewed me in previous races and paced me. And these are big races, so they're fun to go to. So, like Western States, people want to go crew and pace that race. But yeah, I've just been lucky to have a lot of support really throughout my ultra running career. And then my husband, he's also an Ironman, decorated Ironman endurance athlete. And so he's super supportive, and he totally understands that this was been a goal of mine for a long time. And he's been there at even though it's tough on him at work too to be gone, but he's been there to crew and pace me for all these races.
So I married my wife, it'd be 7 years ago, but we've been together for 11. And you have to be supportive of each other during these things. If you don't have a supportive spouse, it's going to be very difficult, especially what you're doing. Any of these things, right? If you're going to Boston or like you're going to all these different states to do these big things this year is crazy. But I think, who you're married to or who your significant other is crucial and very important in this, and that they're very supportive and vice versa. You got to be supportive of his things too when it comes to, and so I completely agree. It's crucial to do that because if one person they don't do any of that, it's hard for them to understand and it's going to be hard to get along.
Yeah.
So, but I love that. That's awesome. So you get done with Vermont and you're excited. So you got to be very positive, right? Because it was a good race for you.
I went much better. Obviously, I always want to go faster than I go usually, but it was a lot better. I felt better. It went better. Yeah. And so I came back and I was excited about Leadville because Leadville was actually my first 100-miler 9 years ago.
Okay. Wow.
So I know the course. I love Colorado. And so it's another huge race. It's got a really good feel though. It's got some good kind of grassroots. And so I was really excited to go back.
Well, that's good. Hey, very positive attitude. So that's positive. All right. You get to Leadville. You've done it. And by the way, it was your first 100-miler, you said?
Yes.
Okay. You just really do things hard.
I do. Been the deep end.
My first 100-miler doesn't have to be Rocky Raccoon. It's just going to be Leadville. I know some people that have been going to Leadville, trying to do the 100 and just can't get it done. They just can't. I think the cutoffs are extremely difficult and they're aggressive from my understanding. I've heard that a lot. For you to go back, obviously the end here, you did finish it, but let's talk about it and your attitude going in and how your legs are feeling. Did you do no running again? You're just off of running. What happened?
No, honestly, I think I probably did too much going into 2 weeks ago. I did a 100-mile bike ride.
Wow.
It was a training day knowing that I had Kona coming. I was getting nervous about biking enough. And so I threw that in there. Probably shouldn't have done that. And then we did get to Colorado early, about a week ahead of the race. And I went and climbed a 14er on Sunday. So just to get acclimated, which I don't think was terrible, but then I might have hiked too much during the week before the race. So
of course,
funny because I had 4 weeks between Vermont and Leadville instead of just 3. And so I don't know if I felt like, oh, I've got a little extra week, I'll be okay. Or if I just kind of got wrapped up in the fact that I love Colorado and I love to hike. So I'm just going to go do it.
Yeah.
Hope it doesn't hurt me too much for the race.
F the consequences.
Exactly. And I finished. All as well that ends.
How'd it go? You finished. Fair enough. But how'd the race go? What'd you feel like with what went on there?
My legs were tired. At this point, too, you're starting to feel the cumulative effect of doing. They've all got a pretty significant amount of climbing in them. Even Vermont's kind of like, you still gain 17,000 feet total, but it's a lot of small hills. So it's just constantly up or down.
Yeah.
Definitely I felt pretty good and I was conservative through outward bound and even through Twin Lakes the first time. And then in the climb over Hope Pass, just that's my legs, both going outbound and then coming back inbound. It's tough. There's just no way around it.
Yeah, but were you close to the cutoffs or what was going on there?
So I was fine through Twin Lakes outbound. And then I got a little close. And funny, I volunteered last year. My husband and I went up there and volunteered at the race last year. That's a little trick for people is if you volunteer, you have a much better chance of getting in the lottery. So if you want a Grand Slam, you've been trying to get Western States for a couple of years, and you have a pretty good chance of getting in, then volunteer at Leadville. It's a great experience to volunteer. We had so much fun. But I swear the cutoff for Twin Lakes inbound was 11 p.m. last year, and it was actually 10:15. So I don't know if it made that tighter even more. But yeah, I felt good through Winfield and thought I had enough time. And then someone on the trail said, "Oh, the cutoff's 10:15." And then I started to get a little worried and knew I had to pick it up. But yeah, so I came in a little close to cutoff. So I had to push and dig deep, as Ken says, at Leadville, but got it done.
It's interesting that you're able to dig deep. Some people, so what does that look like? You're just like in your mind going, okay, just push through no matter what. And you start running faster. Is that what?
Yeah, which is hard to do at that point when you're tired. But yeah, funny, my husband thought that cutoff for May Queen was 6 a.m. and it was actually 6:30, which I think it should be 6 a.m. because I don't know, you have to really push it if you don't come in until 6:30. But so we were about 30 minutes out. We were about 30 minutes until 6 a.m. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is going to be tight. And I was ahead of my pacer. And so I had to actually run pretty hard into May Queen. And I think that totally, I made it. I got there and they were like, no, it's 6:30. And I was like, oh, I'm glad I just completely destroyed myself. But yeah, you just kind of have to just put everything else out of your mind and just focus on giving just as much as you can get down to the last drop. Really.
It's impressive. I'm excited for you. Like you're not even done yet. Now I was like, hey, I should have had this podcast later so I can, but maybe we'll get you back on. Tell me about what is next and then how are you feeling about it?
So Wasatch, which is in the Wasatch Mountains of Salt Lake City, is the fourth one in the slam. And I'm really looking forward to it. I've only been to Salt Lake City once. That was to play soccer. We played the University of Utah, I think, and just flew in, flew out. So yeah, I'm really excited to spend some time in that area. And a lot of people I've talked to, it's their favorite race, their favorite 100-miler. And so I'm excited. It's only 3 weeks away and hopefully I've learned my lesson. So I've been telling people to hold me to it, but I'm only going to sleep and swim. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'll be in Utah as well. I think that's same day or same time. I'm doing the Revel half marathon downhill. Yeah. So, I PR'd there a couple of years ago and I was like, you know what? I got to try it again. I'm in better shape now. So who knows? But yeah, Chris and Ann go out there or have done that race. Chris has anyways, but I think Ann goes there to support Blaze Trails.
I know Chris and Ann. But Chris, I talked to him a little bit before the slam, but about it because he's done the Grand Slam. And he's one of the ones that told me. Yeah, he told me that I think Wasatch is his favorite race. So
yeah, I remember they were out there the same time I was out there 2 or 3 years ago, whenever it was I did that half. That's pretty cool. So I at least know of that race. So what do you know about that race and what are you expecting?
It's got a lot of climbing again, which is going to be tough on the legs. And from what I hear, it's got some steep descents as well, which is really quad killer and technical. So you got to be able to go downhill.
How's the cutoffs there? Is it aggressive or?
No, they actually give you 6 extra hours. So you get 36 hours to finish it, which I'd like to do it quicker than that, obviously.
Sure.
Like not be chasing the cutoffs. But yeah, at least it's more generous.
That's positive. Maybe you'll need it. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then you have this Ironman coming up. Okay. Tell me about that. Have you done it before?
So this will be my 5th time to do Kona. It's Ironman World Championships. So it's a Super Bowl. Yes, you have to qualify for it.
Tell me about that. What do you have to do to qualify to get into that?
Basically, you have to come in. It's based on kind of numbers and percentage of where you finished in your age group. So it's not a time. Okay. It's honestly, sometimes it's who else shows up. So for the first 4 times I qualified, I had to come in first or second in my age group to get in. And
do you mind if I ask you how old you are? Because I could probably go look it up pretty easily.
Yeah, sure. I don't mind at all. I'm 46.
Okay. Got it. All right.
Which I'm realizing I need to stop comparing myself to 20 and 30-year-olds when I'm doing some of these races.
Yeah. You're no longer 20. Exactly. None of us are. I'm 50, so trust me, I know. I think I can go and run as fast as those guys. And then I'm like, all right, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
A quick story is I was running around the track with my son and he's 14 and I could beat him almost everything, but he's like, all right, let's do 100. I was like, all right. And I can run 100, but not like I used to. If I were to go out, I really would hurt myself. And I felt it like that, like on the 50. And I was like, all right, I'm done. I can't. And he just smoked me because I was like, I can't run and sprint like I used to.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's
That's
just
yeah,
not the
I feel like
same.
that's the first thing to go, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you can definitely still train, but
Yes.
it's just a
Yeah.
lot harder to be as fast as you were when you were 30 to 31 is actually the physical peak for men and women. It starts going downhill after that.
Yeah. It's crazy. All right. So let's get back to kind of, you have to qualify. No, you have to win some percentage in your age group or whatever.
Yeah, you have to come in. So they take all the starters in the race. They do it by numbers. So, obviously like my husband's age group and back in the old days would have 500 people start the race. And so they would get whatever 6 slots for a race that qualified for Kona. And then my age group, usually there's 100 women. So we'd get 1 or 2 slots. And then,
1 or 2.
yeah. So then it depends on, like I said, who else shows up. A couple of times I had to race against the girl who would win Kona in my age group. So she showed
Wow.
up and I'm like, okay, hopefully I can get second.
Yeah. Maybe she has a bad day. You never. That usually.
has a bad day.
It sounds like you don't either. It might be a rough race, but really you're going to get it done. It sounds like. So what are you expecting when you go into Kona? You've done it, but you've not done these hardcore other 4 races right before it.
I'm hoping that just the big running base helps. Honestly, I'm going to try not have any expectations. Even the 4 previous Konas, once you're there, it's a celebration of qualifying. Yeah. And I know a couple of years ago, I was talking to actually someone who does win my age group in Kona, and she was talking about all this testing and in the wind tunnel on the bike. And I just had never really lived my running and triathlon career like just that focused on testing, and I just enjoy it. Not that she doesn't, but so I really just use Kona as like a celebration of getting there, and I don't try and go win it necessarily because I know that would take a lot more really than I want to invest in it.
Is there anything that I missed that you were like, man, you didn't ask me about this, that, or the other, or hey, you've had an amazing running and cycling and swimming career and doing crazy awesome things. I'm sure people tell you this all the time. Just for me running, tell people how much I run. They're like, oh, you're crazy. I'm like, have you met Alison? That's what I would say. You met this woman? I just met her and I'm amazed. Anything that you would like want to talk about that I just missed?
I think it's funny because I think, and you probably understand this, most runners do, but anyone that wants to do anything like this, one of the hardest things, like I said, I touched on it, is not being able to run much. Like I get a lot of joy and a lot of peace and just my daily zen from getting up and going for a run in the morning. And so when can't do that, and even after about a week after these 100-milers, you feel like, okay, I feel pretty good. I feel like I'm recovered, but you're not. You really can't recover even in 3 or 4 weeks. And so it's tough to have to hold yourself back and not train as much as you want to because you know it's going to affect the next race.
What do you do? What are you doing to keep yourself busy?
Well, I am swimming. Like swimming is pretty good. So that helps a lot. Swimming.
Yeah.
I've been biking between the races too, which I'll probably shut that down a little more over the next 3 weeks just to make sure that I go ahead and finish this thing out.
Yeah. Yeah. It's smart. And I didn't ask you this, but I should have. What do you do for a living? You're
physical therapist.
Okay. Got it. You're keeping yourself pretty fit. Would you tell, are you a PT for runners and all those, or is it just something different? What do you?
Everybody, really. Yeah, I work in an outpatient orthopedic clinics. There's a group of surgeons that we kind of work with that refer to us mostly, but there's also a non-invasive sports medicine doctor. And yeah, I see a lot of runners, a lot of triathletes. But then I also see weekend warriors and people who have never exercised and don't like to exercise. And so I see pretty much the entire spectrum.
So one thing I do want to ask, because I think it's an important aspect, but just want to get your thoughts, is when you're doing all these exercises or these races and things like that, do you have a community you go to from a running standpoint, or swimming, cycling, whatever? Do you rely, but do you consistently go somewhere to run with people or things like that? Or
but not really consistently. Starting out, I always ran by myself. And now, like I said, my husband and I have always done a lot of training together. But I've met a lot of people along the way. So I definitely know people in a lot of different communities, triathlon and running. Occasionally, I'll jump in with one of those groups. That's one of the greatest things about this sport is just the community and people you meet. That's probably one of the other things I'd say is it's interesting being like towards the back of the race, which, like I said, is a little new for me these last couple of races, but it's been really inspiring, just all the people that, that go out and do this, that just really put it out there and train really hard. And it's fun to talk to different people from all over the country and
Yeah,
different places and different walks in life. And we call them trail friends, just kind of single serving trail friends you just meet at these races. And talking to somebody, like you said, kind of makes the time go by and help.
100%. Look, if it wasn't for, to me, I like to be around people. I've run a lot by myself and things like that, but to me, I just get bored of it. I'm kind of like you in a way. I have to have a race or something there to inspire me because I want to run and I have to train for it and things like that. And it sounds like you guys do that as well. And by the way, for you to be back in the pack for the first time, it's because you're running so much. Like you're doing like these hardcore races, and that's probably a good lesson for you. It's like, this is what it feels like. And you might be like, I won't do this again. I don't want to be at the back. I don't know. But this has been amazing. I don't think I've talked to anybody that's accomplished as much as you have. And to me, it's extremely inspiring. Not so much so that I want to go do all the things that you're doing, but certainly it's inspiring what you are doing and what you're trying to. I get it. I'm not, personally, I would do it, but it's pushing me to keep, like, Alison's doing this thing. Like, I just need to go run 6 miles tomorrow. This is easy. It's little things that, to me, that is important. So what you're doing is great. I love it. I'm sure you'll keep at it. And you're a driven person, and that's a beautiful thing. So thank you for sharing your story. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Chris, for having me on. And thank you I think it's great what you're doing in terms of just, like you said, the running community is such a great community. And I think it's something that everybody has in common that does it. And so it brings people together, and it's a great thing. So thank you for sharing people's stories and having people like me on your podcast.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And thank you everyone for tuning in to another DFW Running Talk. I'm Chris Detzel. Don't forget to rate and review us, and make sure you subscribe to our newsletter, dfwrunningtalk.substack.com. Until next time.